Alright, well, I did say I would make a video sometime this week, so why not today, I guess. There's a short video here. Oh, I thought it was shorter than this, but anyways, sorry. I tried doing another one earlier, but it was just dumb. Had a decent intro, though, I'll say that much. But no, it was just pointless and stupid. I wasn't going to subject you guys to that, but we got a different video here. Um, and I will be getting around to Last Call for Heroes. It just Amazon kind of dropped the ball on trying to deliver my package I ordered to me. It tried to send it to another address I had. I don't know what the deal with that site is, but I kind of live out in the sticks, so you get kind of used to weird shit like that sometimes. It had a problem delivering a package to me recently as well. I ordered something I needed to get, and well, it delivered it to the wrong address, so it took a while for this book to show up. So I'm like halfway through it, and yeah, I'll be getting to it. I also wasn't aware it had been like over a month since I uploaded a video, so yeah, I'm still alive, still kicking. So thank you, Connor Garcia, for checking to see if I'm alive. Um, so without further ado, let's get into this video, and it's called "Why Christians Should Still Have Children in a World of Chaos." Um, from some channel called Faith in Home. So I've never seen this video before, and I figured, fuck it, why not? Let's watch it together. So without further ado, let's hop on in.
We should not avoid having kids out of fear.
We should not avoid having kids out of fear. I'm afraid of what's going to happen to my kids. I already know what's coming for me in a sense. I mean, of course I have apprehensions and all that, but that like total just paralyzed with fear. That's not the case. But I don't see the reason for having them, knowing what I know now. It would just be retarded. I would just have to get rid of this brain that I have in my head and just throw it away for me to have kids. It just wouldn't happen. Considering the guarantees of life, which you all know. I feel like I'm really just beating a dead horse into the ground here. So, yeah, let's keep going. Yeah, you didn't miss anything. It was just a long, cheesy intro.
Hey you guys, it's Amanda. I run the blog Faith in Home. If you are new here, my blog is all about encouraging women in their biblical roles. So if you are interested in videos on homemaking and being a wife, being a mother, all that kind of fun stuff from a Christian perspective, make sure to subscribe down below. And also, if you aren't new here, welcome back. I am glad to have you watching another video and just having your support and having conversations with you guys.
What is up with all these YouTubers saying, hey, please subscribe before like the video even started? Don't get it.
So today's video is going to be on why Christians should continue to grow their families and have kids when the world seems chaotic.
I can't wait to hear this, considering Christ had some, differing takes on that sort of viewpoint right there. Blessed is a womb that never bore, and the breasts that never nursed. The world is a corpse. Yeah, sounds like a great place to bring children into. Am I wrong?
So we live in a very interesting time. Obviously, this year has been something that just is like unprecedented almost. Like
There's been pandemics before. It's nothing new. This was recorded in 2020, by the way, just so you know. Yeah, nothing new here. Pandemic again on planet Earth? No way. Never heard of this before.
Probably the craziest thing that a lot of people have been through in their lifetime, no matter your age.
I actually kind of enjoyed quarantine. It was pretty nice, and I was actually ordered to do it by the county, so well, I guess the state actually. Now I think about it, in my workplace. So yeah, it was pretty nice. Kind of boring though, a little bit, because I couldn't leave my house. But oh no, it was kind of a nice vacation, a staycation.
It's pretty crazy just how we've had a complete global shutdown, and in that shutdown, we have really seen that the U.S. doesn't value freedom of expression when it comes to religion as much as it used to. I mean, it was not seen as an essential thing when everything got shut down. But this video.
Well, it's not essential. What essential service does religion provide? Because for me to get, I understand that some people need that comfort in their lives to get through, but where was my comfort? Where was my comfort, booze or cigarettes or, other things? Where the fuck were those? I would have deemed those essential to my life, yet I was lacking them. So, yeah, they're not essential. They don't provide an essential service. People aren't thinking, oh my God, building's burning down. Quick, call the minister. Like, no one's doing that. At most, if somebody gets in a car wreck or something, they'll be like, "Oh man, thank goodness you're here, Father. You need to read this man his last rites or something." Like that's about the extent of it. That's about as essential quote as it gets. Really, no one needs to get baptized. No one needs to get married. No one needs to sit there in a building for an hour, listen to some old man drone on, and then fucking get a piece of bread and some wine at the end of it all, or grape juice, whatever denomination you're a part of. Yeah, I don't think that's essential unless you're just starving and you just absolutely need that, little bread wafer and that grape juice or wine. I think you'll be fine.
Is for politics. This video is on children. So just being 100% transparent, now that I have my own son, this has been something that I've been thinking about just a ton. And even before we had him, it was something that was on my mind of like bringing another child into this world and what they might have to go through, persecution and all that kind of stuff with freedoms being slowly stripped away. And yeah, just like a scary, crazy world. What they're going to learn, what they're going to be taught, what culture is going to say about them or tell them, and all that kind of stuff. And the thought of that.
Yeah, you could have also thought, man, gee whiz, what is the end result of all this? What happens to everybody, regardless of what religion you belong to, or your political affiliation, where you're from, what sort of race you are, whether you're a man or a woman, any of that. It's doesn't give a fuck. Well, what are those two things again? Fuck, I've almost forgotten. Ah, damn. Must have slipped my mind like it slipped hers.
That has honestly brought tears to my eyes. Like, it's really scary. And the world.
Yeah, and imagine what he must be going through, or will be going through later on. I think he'll be pretty scared shitless too.
Now is so different than the world I grew up in. What my brother, who is just 9 or 10 years younger than I am, is learning at public school is so drastically different than what I learned in public school with my education, and especially when it comes to sex ed and just how early he's learning everything that he's learning, and even just the extent of what he was learning I never learned even in high school, and he's in middle school.
Well, what? You didn't learn about sex ed in fucking high school? How old are you? You look like my age. Where were you at? I learned about all that shit in like, what, 7th or 8th grade? I mean, at the time, I guess I wasn't super mature about it, like any, like 12 or 13-year-old boy would be, but whatever. I mean, you're going to figure it out at some point. I don't see the big deal. Really.
Cool. So there's just a lot of craziness that is going in, a lot of change, like seriously, rapid change in our institution, government, and public schools, and all that kind of stuff.
I'd argue more for the worst, but whatever.
And it's happening rapidly. So to imagine what it may be like for my son growing up, which I do plan on homeschooling, but still, the society that he's growing up in.
That's going to be awkward as fuck when you have to bring up sex ed to your own son at homeschool. God. Or you're just going to skip that because he'll never need to know it.
Where he'll see when he's out and about and all that kind of stuff, what he'll be exposed to, has brought tears to my eyes. And also the possibility of persecution, because
Christians are not being persecuted, especially where I live. It's quite the opposite. If you don't go to any church at all, or you go to the wrong church, expect to get some glares and expect to not be treated as well, really. They don't outright like burn you at the stake or anything, or stone you to death, obviously, but you definitely get some glares, or people just don't want to associate with you. I've experienced that before when I come out as an atheist, or I guess an apathetic agnostic, don't know and don't care, that people tend to fucking shy away from it. At least where I'm at. I can only speak for my region, but I don't think Christians are being persecuted. I think you're being, I wouldn't say persecuted, but ridiculed for the dumb shit you do and say. I really don't have a problem with people going to church or whatever, as long as you're not picking up an AK and blowing people away or encouraging stupid behavior, kind of like what you're doing. I really don't have a problem with it. Go for it. You want to go to church? Knock yourself the fuck out. I don't really care.
More and more, just the U.S. is kind of has a target on religious facts because obviously it doesn't go with culture, where culture is going.
Yeah, culture's trying to go towards somewhat of a, we're trying to improve things. We're not trying to, hold ourselves back and make things worse for ourselves. Yeah, I guess you guys might have a target on your back for that.
This idea of even if it's just hate and not physical harm, there is more and more persecution for Christians. To deny that would be silly because
I'm going to deny that. It's definitely not prevalent everywhere in the United States. The United States is a big place. I don't know where you live. Maybe that is the case there. But here, flip that around. Okay? Let's just make that simple. Flip it around. It'd be like going to Utah and saying Mormons are being persecuted. My fucking ass.
Any people that stand on biblical truths I see get persecuted through hate and threats and all that kind of stuff on social media all the time. Yeah.
I don't think they get persecuted through hate and threats. I don't think people are threatening you because you're saying something out of the Bible. I think they're mocking you because you are being an idiot. You're talking about shit like from Leviticus, like a man shall not lie with another man or something like that. But then you'll ignore the other parts in the Bible where you guys are blatant hypocrites. You wear mixed fabric, have eaten seafood. All the other fun shit in the Bible I could go through. Like, did you murder your enemies and keep all the virgin daughters for yourselves? Well, then you're not living the biblical truth now, are you? Like, what the fuck? Granted, everybody cherry picks shit out of the Bible, and I'm no exception, but still, some of the shit you guys cherry pick just highlights your bigotry and ignorance and hatred. Really. And that's what people call you out on.
It's scary, but that's why I wanted to make today's video, just with some encouragements, hopefully, of why we should still have children, even though it seems scary and maybe even hopeless and all that kind of stuff. Because
that's the nature of the world. It's scary and hopeless, really. It's a terrifying scenario if you really, really stop and contemplate it. It's about as bleak as it gets. Make shit like 40K or like a Fallout or maybe a Stalker or something seem kind of mundane, really. Kind of boring.
Just focus on this world. It is so scary. You really have to focus on eternal truths and
like the eternal truths of guaranteed suffering, guaranteed death, and for what? No gain. You don't get anything for it. Yeah, we can focus on those eternal truths. Those haven't changed in ever. Just gonna throw those ones out there for you.
Hope that God gives us in His promises to really see like the light and the reason why you would still want to bring children into this crazy, hectic world.
Because your vagina or penis tingled or something. I don't know. That's about as much truth as you're going to get out of that. What? Because in Genesis, he's like, be fruitful and multiply? And then they'll ignore the fact that Jesus is like, I've come to, break that old covenant, the shit in the Old Testament, really. Come to do something different. And I guess you could sort of apply that to Ecclesiastes too, but I think Ecclesiastes kind of nailed home what was going on around here. Like, really hit it to us. It's about the realest book in the Bible I've come across, so maybe there's some biblical scholar out there that could point me to something better, but I really do love that book, honestly.
So let's hop in, and I hope that this video is an encouragement to you guys. So the first...
I really hope it is too. It's not going to be, but yeah, it's not going to happen. You're not going to encourage me in any way, shape, or form to have kids. Unless you got some trick up your sleeve I've yet to encounter, or any antinatalists has encountered yet, which I'm willing to give you the chance, you're not going to convince us. The game hasn't stopped being played the way it's being played, ever. It's just the way it is, where the weak are exploited and consumed by the strong, and everyone suffers and everyone dies. The two things you fear the most, the the two things that you spend your days trying to avoid and defer, put on the back burner, or try to forget, yeah, those two things come for you anyways. So, yeah, that has not changed regardless of what holy book you read or how devout of a Christian or Buddhist or Muslim or Hindu you are. Those still come for you. I think it would be called anchoring at this point. According to Zappa's Last Messiah. I could be wrong though. I think, yeah, sounds like anchoring to me, yeah.
Point, and if I look down, I have my computer down below me, so I'm just looking for notes. But the first point is we are not to fear the world. We are told in the Bible not to fear things of this world, but to have a healthy fear of God Himself, who can destroy both body and soul. And so I'm going to read a verse, Matthew 10:28, and this is ESV translation. It says, "And do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather fear Him who can destroy both soul and body in hell." We need to have a...
Yeah, and you could also argue that why would you need to create a body for a soul to inhabit that would have to be in fear of something like this? Was there a good reason for that? No, there wasn't.
Eternal perspective when it comes to our decisions that we make here on earth. Should we really be so fearful of someone who can only control what happens here on earth, or should we be more fearful of what can happen to our eternity? We should be way more fearful of what could happen to our eternity. So we want to...
Yeah, it's the whole thing of like, I want to live forever, but what exactly would you exist as? Because once you're dead, where do your memories go? Where does your imagination go? Where would your favorite songs or your friends go? They wouldn't be there. You wouldn't exist as you are now. It's just your body kind of playing a trick on you. These people have played a trick on you to think that I'm going to have eternal life. Well, you're not, even if you do have such a thing, it's not going to be as you are now. So you still have the same earthly fears of, oh my God, obliteration. I'm going to be nothing. I'm going to be gone. It's like the same fear. It's just like a step up, really. It really hasn't changed anything. Am I wrong? I don't think I am. It's the same reason why you drag your ass into fucking church every Sunday. It's so that way you can just try to save your soul. And all this other shit. When you really don't give a fuck about anybody else around you.
Put on the armor of God and making sure that we are standing in truth the whole time we're on this earth, even if...
Yeah, I guess I've done that. I'm standing in the truth of it's really fucking stupid to have kids to have to suffer and die needlessly. Yep, there you go. Why would I do that to them? My own kids, no less. Why the fuck would I do something like that to them? And then from your perspective, why would I even take the chance that they might burn in hell for eternity? Why would I even take that chance? They could go to church every fucking Sunday, but maybe they miss that one, and and I know it's like a mortal sin in the Catholic religion to miss a mass, without a good reason, of course. They decided to go partying with their friends or go over to a creek or something, whatever the fuck they decided to fucking do, and now they're damned for eternity because they said they went to mass, but they never did. Why would I take that fucking chance? I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. If I was a Christian, I'd be a hardcore anti-natalist, probably even more so than now.
If we face persecution, because at the end of the day, what's most important is our eternal life, and our eternal value are the eternal truths and God's promises to us, the hope that we have in Christ, and not what's going to happen to us here on this earth.
I wish they would just be fucking honest instead of like thinking about like all these great things that might happen, all the hope and shit. Just to be honest and admit you're terrified of going to hell, which is why you do this. Okay? You're just scared shitless of going to hell. I wish more Christians would just come out and fucking say it. Be honest. You don't give a fuck. Like, what sort of great descriptions of heaven have we heard of? Well, we really haven't, have we? We've heard like all these sorts of great descriptions of hell from people who supposedly died and seen it, and from people who are here now and, are just living their lives and just fantasizing about it. I think most people are fucking more terrified of hell than being like thrilled to go to heaven afterwards. Let's just be honest, because that's certainly the way I was when I was a Catholic. And I can say that that was the case for most people. They're like, oh man, I'd love to be up in heaven with Jesus and all that, but man, if I don't do these sorts of things that the priest tells me to, I would rather not burn forever in hell and be tormented like that. It really kind of fucks with your head, that sort of idea. Like, it really does. And it just sort of, I guess it'd be kind of like Stockholm Syndrome. Oh, I just love Jesus and God and all this sort of stuff. But what they're really just, they're just afraid of, being tortured forever for not doing something or doing something. Maybe they jerked off, like, one time and forgot to confess their sins or something. And, well, I guess you're burning, dude. I understand that I gave you the desires, and I'm speaking to God here. I understand I gave you the desires to touch your wiener and to do all sorts of crazy shit with it, but you shouldn't have done that. Like, what the fuck? It's so weird. Like, you basically have to go against, like, your instincts, really, as a human being. And I'm not saying we should go out and kill somebody who cuts us off in traffic, obviously. That'd be dumb. But, like, to want to have sex or to want to eat decent food, or maybe we get addicted to certain things, and to tell you that you're just an asshole and a bad person because you could have totally avoided that situation when sometimes you just can't, so you get to burn in hell forever. Like, fuck that God. Why would I worship him? Going to hell or not, what the fuck? Why would I care? Fuck that guy.
And obviously, that's way easier said than done. And it's something that we should constantly be praying to God about, just for him to give us enough grace and strength to withstand each day, day by day. He's going to give us.
Why don't we just ask him to change the game of, playing the game of cannibal in a war zone? Why can't we just pray for that instead of just praying for the strength to get through this game as it is? I don't know. It just seems weird.
Enough grace to live out every day in the situation he has put us in. And
yeah, let's be thankful for the fact that he put us in a horrible situation. Thanks, God. Appreciate it. The fact that I enjoyed a meal today meant that it came at something else's expense. I appreciate that too. It really makes me sleep well at night knowing that something else, whether it be a plant or an animal, had to experience its own death, something that it greatly feared as well, and probably suffered the whole time, and doing so during the process, so that way I could have a full tummy. Really appreciate it. Thanks.
I don't have the verse written down, but there's the verse that talks about do not worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow already has worries for itself, or something like that. But we are.
Yeah, basically what it's saying is like, don't give yourself anxiety about shit you don't know what's going to happen. Like, if you're just thinking about, like, I don't know, what could happen in the future, something like, oh, I could get in a car wreck or something. Well, are you in a car wreck now? Are you going to be in a car wreck now? Are you even in your car now? Why get all anxious and upset about something you're not doing at the moment? Like, I can take that. That's actually not a bad passage. I can understand it. There's no reason to get super worked up about the future when it's already bleak anyways, for you as well as for everyone else here. So, just take it as it comes to the best of your ability.
You only focus on the day that we're in, and God will give us enough grace for that day, and then the next day.
Until he doesn't. Until that's your last day, and you don't know when that's coming. I think it was somewhere in the Gospel of Thomas where Jesus was saying something to the effect like, you need to, bar your windows and doors, and, take all these, be prepared for the trouble you worry about is going to find you, or something to that effect. The robbers will try to break into your home, like that sort of shit. Like, what you fear most is coming for you in his flowery way, is what I say as well. Yeah, he said similar things like to what I'm saying. Like, there's whole you could spin this around on them too with their own passages, but whatever. I still don't understand why we need to bring children into this. Children who, at least according to the Christian perspective, could very easily end up in hell for, wide is the way of destruction, but narrow is the gate to heaven, and all that sort of shit, or however you phrase it. And most people aren't going to find that way, according to the Bible, or according to Jesus. And most people aren't going to find their way to heaven. So why take the chance that it would be your kid who would find their way to heaven, when most people don't? Fuck, for all we know, you may be burning here once you're toast. We don't know. So, why take the chance with somebody else's life? That's all I'm saying. On top of the guaranteed outcomes of what life itself, the reality we all share, has in store for all of us. Why would you do that? I don't understand.
He'll give us enough grace, and just continually praying that He will give us enough grace and strength to get through whatever circumstance He has placed us in. So, yeah, we are not to fear this world. We're to focus on our eternal life and our eternal meaning.
So, well, if you don't fear this world, quit your job and just be like a vagabond, like what Jesus did. If you're so totally unafraid, why don't you just not eat or not drink or not do anything? Why don't you pick up chain smoking? That's a fun hobby. I've done it. That sort of stuff. If you have totally no fear of this world, why the fuck aren't you doing? Why aren't you being more fearless? You're talking about all the concerns you have about what your kid's going to be exposed to, and even, God forbid, sex ed. I know the horrors of that. And yet you're telling us in the next breath that we should not be fearful at all of this world. I don't know which one to go with here. It seems weird. Considering isn't sex also something that God gave us, supposedly? So, I don't know. Why should we be so afraid of it? Especially since it brings more children into the world, like you just so desperately want to do. I don't know what's so bad about it.
So, if we're focusing on eternal things, that brings us to my next point, which is
You're just focusing on maybe the possibility of an eternal afterlife for yourself. You're not focusing on anything really eternal. Because if you focus on anything eternal, you would also understand that pandemics are not just a rare occurrence. You'd understand that everyone experiences suffering. You'd understand that a lot of people's situations fucking suck and always have been that way, and so on and so forth. And then you'd also realize that you're a finite creature on a finite planet. That's an eternal truth for you. You can put that in your fucking script and read it. There you go. You're not focusing on anything eternal. It's all temporal.
Having children is part of the Great Commission. So
the great mission that God gave us. God who has just such a need for us to, an infinite, all-powerful, all-knowing being who lacks nothing, desperately needs us to fulfill this mission for him. I don't know how those two jive, but let's find out.
Reason of being here, everyone's purpose is to...
I'm going to stop it right there because I already know your whole purpose here is to reach the age of sexual maturity, find a mate, reproduce, rear those young, and then die. I figured it out. Is that what she's going to say? I doubt it, but let's see.
Present people the gospel and to tell people about Christ. And
let me ask you this: what exactly was the purpose of people before Christ or the Gospels? Does anybody know? It seems like we just seem to not give a fuck about any of those people. It's like, well, they're already in hell anyways. Fuck them. Who cares? It wasn't until Jesus came around and, his apostles wrote down all this shit that anybody's life really started to take any sort of meaning or purpose. But before that, man, fuck them. It's so dumb. I don't understand. That was our purpose. Then I guess, what, like fucking 7 billion people, give or take? Fucking aren't living up to that purpose that God himself or itself set down for us. So what an impotent and weak God you serve. And fuck, we can't even get it right because I could go down the street and see like fucking 2 different fucking churches who have 2 different interpretations to what, quote, God's mission is for us. What our, quote, purpose is. So maybe he didn't communicate it well enough or something, or maybe he just doesn't give a fuck. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. But I imagine you'd just say something like, well, I know what my purpose is, and I know that God did it for me, like every other fucking Christian or Muslim or Hindu or Buddhist or whatever the fuck says. The same old shit that you hear time and time again that doesn't mean a fucking thing. As if God just deigns to talk directly to nut jobs instead of people who are trying to figure shit out. Yeah, that's a God I want to get behind.
Hope that we all have in him and to create disciples. So having kids is obviously part of the Great Commission because your family is your first ministry.
Well, my mom failed then. Was a Catholic, no longer a Catholic. Same with my siblings, no longer Catholic either. She's the only one left. My dad dropped out pretty shortly after marrying her, and She's the only one who still goes to church in my immediate family, so yeah, she failed miserably in that regard. But thankfully, that's not the purpose of life, now is it? Because life really doesn't have a purpose. So if that was the case, I would think that the Word of God, these eternal truths and shit like that, like if you find a truth, you tend to like live it. Like understanding the truth that Santa Claus, it would be physically fucking impossible for him to deliver toys and goodies and whatnot and eat all the cookies everywhere on Christmas Eve, kind of stuck with me, and I no longer, at Christmas time, leave out fucking milk and cookies for Santa Claus, and I don't expect any fucking presents in my house. And if I do get them, something's up. So, yeah, that's the truth right there. Santa Claus ain't fucking real. So why does everyone else seem to think that this truth isn't really exactly the truth then? Do they just want to remain ignorant? Because I try not to be. I think it'd just be ignorant to assume that you have the truth when you clearly don't. Truths are pretty self-evident. Like, you stick your hand in a lawnmower, fucking it's not going to come out in one piece. That sort of shit. Those are truths you can live by. Truths everyone knows, like water runs downhill. Everyone knows this. I can go to anywhere in the fucking world. But when it comes to shit like this, everyone seems to have differing opinions, and everyone says they have the truth, but it's not evident to anyone else who isn't inside their little group. So you want to fucking actually lay out a truth for us, or what?
And just to be clear, this whole video is not shaming anyone that can't have kids at all.
I'm probably sterile at this point, from all the chemicals I've handled in my lifetime, and like the heavy industrial ones that you can feel your sperm count lowering just reading the label, as well as all the cigarettes I've smoked, among other things, and alcohol I've drank in the past. So yeah, chances are I can't have kids anyways, even if I wanted them. So I appreciate you not shaming me.
There's nothing wrong with if you aren't able to have kids. God has put you in that place for a reason. Maybe at some
Well, he certainly isn't telling them the reason. They seem to be desperate to try to have a kid.
point in your life, you will be blessed with having kids. But if not, that doesn't devalue you or your ministry. God just has something else for you.
Well, good to know. He must have decided that a small group of us, namely antinatalists, that, man, we get to see the complete bleak horror that is this universe. As far as we're concerned, it's not a pretty sight, really. It's pretty disgusting and horrible. As far as our sensibilities are concerned, if you really step back and look at the giant, big, gaping war zone that's just fucking creatures just constantly battling it out for territory, eating each other, fighting and fucking. That's it. Just to keep doing it all over again. Like, that's what I see. So, I guess God had a reason for that. He just wanted me to suffer more than usual.
Video is just to highlight that we should not avoid having kids out of fear. But anyway,
I avoid having kids out of, well, I guess it would be kind of out of fear of what's going to happen to them. I don't necessarily fear the consequences that may happen in my life, though I would not like them probably, because I'd have to, despite what fucking Coach Red Pill would say, I would have to spend more time at the office, so to speak. And I would have people that depend on me to help to get them through this fucking war zone, essentially. That would be scary on its own, but then I have to realize that I just drafted another soldier into this fight, a soldier who isn't going home, so to speak. So, yeah, that would just be the horrible end for me, and I don't know what my kid would feel like, but I doubted they would feel very good about it. And I certainly wouldn't be patting myself on the back for doing it. Something that's happened billions of times before, like it's such a rare thing anyways, but knowing what I know now, I would be kicking myself in the balls repeatedly. Knowing what I know now. Wouldn't do it. Even if you gave me like $1 billion, I'd say fuck you and fuck no. Don't need it.
having children and growing your family is definitely a part of the Great Commission. The Great Commission is to create disciples of Christ, and of course, your family is a really great place to do that.
Then why don't you just proselytize to everyone else around you? Oh yeah, that's right. They don't want to hear it because it gets old after a while. Who the fuck hasn't heard of Jesus Christ at this point? So you gotta find new people who never heard of anything, brand spanking new, sort of a blank slate to try to put this sort of shit onto them with. Yeah, okay, gotcha. Why don't you just have a ministry? If you're that about Jesus, why don't you just go out there and preach the word or something? Or become like a pastor of a church? If that's what your goal is, I don't understand. Like I'm really kind of an atheist or agnostic. Like I don't really give a shit. Apathetic agnostic. Don't know, don't care. But yeah, I see no problem with that. Go out there and preach the good word, so to speak. Yeah, do that. I don't care. Why bring more people here to have to preach to? I don't understand this mentality. People who will probably turn away from it once they get old enough to leave the house. Because it really sucks having to be repressed your whole fucking life and they go fucking nuts. I know this from like, I wouldn't say firsthand experience because I wouldn't say I grew up in the most repressive household, but I know people who have, and they will go fucking buck ass wild as soon as they get the fucking chance. They will throw all that shit you taught them out the window immediately. You're hurting yourself really, and you're hurting your ministry by fucking bringing kids here and trying to raise them like that when they don't want to do it. Most likely, there might be a few out there who do, but that's an anomaly more than what's typical. So, anyways, let's keep plowing through this. We're halfway there. Let's go.
If everyone just focused on their family unit, there wouldn't even be a reason to go out and create disciples outside of your.
Why not? Again, I don't get it. Go out there. Why not go out there? Did Jesus have a shitload of kids and preach to them, make them his disciples, and be like, okay, you guys, have kids and preach my word that way? I don't think that's what he said, did he? I could. Where's the passage there? You're not backing it up. I can't even think of it. I'm not going to go sifting through the entire Gospels to find it, but I'm willing to bet my left testicle he did not say that. So why are you going against what he did? He actually fucking went out into the world and proselytized. He was preaching to the people. He didn't say, you know what, stay at home, raise a family, teach them my word. He said, go out there and spread my message to all people, not just your fucking family. Am I wrong? Don't think so.
Family. So, having kids is part of the Great Commission in making disciples of Christ. And
that's very debatable.
Leads me to my next point, which is the glory of heaven will surpass the hurt of this world. So,
but not hell. It will not defeat hell. Just throwing it out there.
In saying that, your kids also have eternal value. This is why when you're thinking about having kids or not and growing your family, limiting how many kids you have because you're worried about overpopulation, any of those kind of things.
Like finances, the ability to take care of them, being able to provide them shelter, so on and so forth. Yeah, don't worry about that. God will definitely provide like he has totally provided for those people in developing countries. Totally. He's got it set down, folks.
You need to focus on the eternal truths and not just focusing on.
Could you tell us what the eternal truths are, please? You've mentioned this several times. What are these eternal truths? Shouldn't I just know what you mean by when you say something like that? Shouldn't anybody who stumbles upon this video happen to know exactly what the fuck you mean by eternal truths? Because I'm lost. I don't get it. If these are eternal truths, sorry, voice crack, I guess, but I got a little bit of a cough going on. But still, I don't understand what the fuck you mean. Does anybody else, maybe in the comments, let me know what these fucking eternal truths are? Because she keeps rambling on about it, but she won't tell me. Is it like a secret? Do I gotta fucking find it somewhere? Is it hidden in the Bible somewhere in some long forgotten book? I don't know. I'd love to know about it.
On worldly, wisdom or any of that kind of stuff. What culture has to say, any of.
I'm pretty sure that your religion would have to do with worldly wisdom now, wouldn't it? I'm pretty fucking sure, yeah.
That. And your kids' lives are going to go on in eternity if they accept Jesus Christ as their Savior and Lord. So, yeah.
And you know that how? How do you know that? What, somebody just told you? Sure, but how do you know that for certain?
Their life has so much more meaning than whatever happens to them on this earth.
And you would know that again how? What would meaning have to do with anybody who's dead? What would they need meaning for? What do they lack? I don't understand. I'm not dead yet, so I don't know. Maybe there is something you lack when you're dead, maybe being alive, but I don't see the dead, desperately trying to get back to it, so I don't know. It seems like you don't lack anything once you're dead, so you don't really need meaning. You don't need to have meaning because you can't ascribe any sort of value to stuff. Like, I don't know, I got a little, cup over here. I could put water in it, meaning I can stay hydrated. What does a dead person know of any of this? As far as I know, they don't. So I don't know what the fuck you mean by meaning. Again, this whole vague meaning and truth bullshit you will hear time and time again. That's how they try to get people into it. I don't get it. It doesn't make any fucking sense. If you step back and examine it, they're just saying nothing. They got nothing to say. They just like talking the entire time. And I guess you could level that at me, but I feel like I'm actually trying to say something here. Unlike these people, I'm not giving you any vague promises of an afterlife or that things are going to get better because, I got a vision from my fucking spirit hawk somewhere. I'm just telling you what I can see with my eyes and what my senses are picking up, and it doesn't look pretty. As unfiltered as I can do it. Obviously there's some limitations due to language and stuff, but I do the best I can. But these people, they just give you vague bullshit promises that don't mean a fucking thing, and they don't know if it's true or not. They just say it is.
Whether they get harmed or if they live happy, healthy lives,
and then they get harmed. Yeah, let's not forget that.
They live until they're 80. Like whatever happens to them on this earth is nothing in comparison to their eternal value.
And their eternal value is what? Nothing compared to their eternal value. Shouldn't I know what that means? If there's an eternal value, shouldn't we all know what that eternal value is? Because it doesn't seem like, the United States government, for instance, seems to understand what the fuck eternal value is. Because they'll send people happily to go kill other people who supposedly have eternal value as well. But they don't seem to value their lives so much, the people they send over. Because they're more than happy to send them into harm's way. So what fucking eternal value are you fucking talking about? Once again, I don't know what the fuck you mean by this.
When you're thinking about all this, it's really easy to get caught up in what's going to happen in this world, what could happen, not even what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen, but just getting caught up.
Exactly. Why don't you just say that? You don't know what's going to happen after you die. Just be honest. I don't know if there's going to be nothing, or there's going to be something, or whatever. Anything in between. I honestly don't know, so I don't make any claims. I don't even say there's nothing after death, because how the fuck would I know? I'm not dead. I guess based on some prior experiences, being under anesthesia and all that, and nearly dying a few times, it basically is just nothing. You don't want anything, you don't do anything, you're just there. Basically as close to a corpse as you can fucking get. So, I didn't experience anything. Not that I remember, it just seemed like time went by like that. Done. I remember getting my wisdom teeth pulled out underneath it. Anesthesia. It was like I went under, and then it felt like a second later I was awake. That was probably the closest I came to being actually dead. And it wasn't that bad, honestly. I didn't mind it. I remember the first word I said was already when they woke me up. But yeah. That's actually like first-hand experience. Whether you want to believe that or not, I don't know. I didn't see a damn thing. But I could be wrong. Maybe there's something that does lie beyond this veil of tears, but we won't be able to see it as we are now. So there you go.
And fears of what could happen, but none of that.
Fears of what could happen? Like, aren't you afraid of hell? Like, what the fuck?
Compares to the glory of Christ and spending eternity with Him. And my last.
Nothing compares. Well, if you put it that way, yeah, I think nothing does compare to that, really.
Point on why Christians should still have kids in a world full of chaos is when the world is crazy and dark, because our world is crazy and very dark,
Something we can agree on, yes.
we need lights. So we are supposed to be the light and the salt of the earth.
Yeah, and you get to watch those lights get snuffed out one by one. Friends, family, perhaps even your own children, or they'll get to witness your light get snuffed out. Yeah, we just need more of that.
And we, by raising children to know Christ, are bringing more lights into this world. So when our world is dark, we need lights more than ever. And although it would make sense in a worldly perspective not to bring children into the world because
Yeah, it makes sense from pretty much any perspective, really. I'm struggling to understand what you mean. Because I don't remember Jesus saying, hey, have shitloads of kids. We need more lights in this world. Because I don't recall him saying that. And I can go through some of the few other, Messiah figures in the other religions. Like Buddha was fucking chapped whenever he found out one of his disciples was having a kid. He told him it'd be better off sticking his penis into the head of a cobra, I think it was, rather than have a kid, and he said he was going to be damned to hell for all eternity. Does that sound like a guy who said have more kids? Same with Jesus. Again, blessed is the womb that never bore, or the breast that never nursed. The world is a corpse. I think somewhere in the gospel, I think was it Mark? It's like, don't marry unless you're just burning with passion or something to that effect. It may have been one of the apostles. I said I can't remember off the top of my head, but it didn't seem to be all about having fucking kids. At least in the New Testament, to my knowledge. In fact, the only thing I can seem to hear Christians quote about this whole having kids thing is in Genesis. You know, at the very start of the Bible, the thing that Jesus sought to undo. All that sort of shit that the God back then was doing, he tried to undo that and create a new covenant, as he said. That's the only, backing material from the Bible I've ever come across, or any of these people have ever come across. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something, but again, any biblical scholars out there, let me fucking know. I don't really sit down and read the Bible every night, obviously, but just going off what I know. Jesus didn't seem to be too keen on the idea of people having kids. It seems to be these type of people that do. And why don't you just be honest? Say, I want to have kids because I want to have them. I would totally respect that more than trying to use somebody who clearly didn't fucking say anything about you having kids as a shield. Really, I would. I would definitely respect parents more if they just openly, honestly said, I wanted to have kids, so I had them, instead of trying to use some sort of bullshit to justify it. Like this, like using Jesus. And I ask again, where exactly is a passage where Jesus encourages people to have children? There isn't any, because if there was, she definitely would have trotted it out.
it's such a dark and ugly place. In a biblical perspective, the eternal perspective, that's why we need to bring kids into this world even more, because we need to bring lights into this world to bring people to Christ, to show people who God is and his glory
and the terrible things he's wrought and the horrible game he's dropped you into. Yes, we need more people to witness that. For what reason? Yeah, I don't think she's going to give us a good reason. I'm just sticking that out there.
And to create more disciples. Well, it may be counterintuitive because, of course,
it's counterintuitive because it goes against everything I'm seeing. It's ridiculous, yeah. Be like me saying, well, I'm really hungry, I better drink some water. Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Why would you do that?
As a mother, you want to protect your offspring. You know, you want to protect your kids, and you don't want to, you can't imagine anything bad happening to them. You want to prevent that.
Yeah, you want to just isolate the bad things that could happen to your kids. Just pretend that doesn't happen. When it very often does. Alright? I had a childhood friend recently who died of an overdose. And his mother has had to bury both of her children. It does happen. Okay? Let's not pretend that these horrible things are just something that happens to people elsewhere. It can happen to anybody at any time. Okay? Me driving home from work could have been the last time I was driving. So on and so fucking forth. You don't know when your time's up. And to pretend like nothing bad will ever happen to your kids is fucking ridiculous and it is delusional as fuck. When that's the only guarantees that are going to happen to them is the bad shit that you're worried about. So why have them? I feel like I'm beating my head up against a brick wall because I know she probably will never watch this. Fuck, I might even leave a comment saying, hey, I've responded to your video. I doubt it, but I might. But she still wouldn't get it. I already know. Deep down in my heart of hearts, I already fucking know she won't get it. Because to admit that would be to admit that she made a mistake in bringing someone else here. To try to make disciples or whatever the fuck. Like the world needs more of those. Like who the fuck here hasn't heard of Jesus Christ yet? Raise your hand.
In all ways possible, even to the extent of maybe not having kids. But
Yeah, we could just leave it there. Don't have kids. Go preach the word of Jesus that way. Do that.
the world needs lights. The world.
Yeah, it does. I've got several in my house right now that are on, and I didn't need to have kids to have them turn on or anything. It just happened. What? Shine a light on this dark world? Why the fuck do we need it? So they can see the horrible nightmare that is planet Earth? We need more people to witness it? Why? For what? Once you've seen it, why do you need anybody else to see it? It's like reading a shitty book or watching a shitty movie. Why would you go around showing it to your friends? I guess maybe you can make maybe that wasn't the best example because I guess you could show it to him for laughs, but in the context of this, why the fuck would you do that? It's like I'm having a nightmare, I better drag someone else into this too. Yeah, it makes perfect fucking sense, right? I need somebody else to verify that I'm actually in a horrible dream right now. Yep, you are. Oh, fuck. Well, I need to have some other confirmation too. Like, where does this end?
Needs to know disciples of God so they can be introduced to Him and
Introduced to him. You know, I was a Catholic for quite a while, and I've never once been introduced to God. Never, ever once was I introduced to God or Jesus or any of those. All the people I was praying to and all that stuff did all these elaborate rituals around. Never once did I ever meet them. Now that you mention it, it's kind of strange, isn't it?
yeah, your family is one of the biggest ministries you can have. It's your like main ministry, and it's really the thing that can have lasting impacts. I know for Adam and I, part of us growing such a close relationship to God was seeing people really walking out what God had called them to walk out. Because as we grew up in homes that our parents believed in God, we never saw our families walking out lives how God called them to. We didn't know what that looked like. And
I don't either. I don't know what the fuck you mean by that. What does that mean? How would you know? Maybe God is calling them to be a heroin addict or to be a prostitute or a stripper or something. Like maybe that's what he's calling them to do because I mean, drug dealers got to eat too. That sort of shit. Like how do you fucking know? Who are you to say? What the fuck does this even mean?
I have more about our testimony. If you want to watch that video after this one, I'll link it down below.
No, I don't.
But yeah, we just had no idea what God wanted or desired for our lives. And
Gee, it's almost like an omnipotent, all-powerful being that has everything couldn't want or need anything. God, man. Isn't that strange? What a thought to entertain right there. What would it exactly need? Oh, it wouldn't. That's right. Yeah, it wouldn't need anything.
so seeing families actually practicing that and walking it and having a close relationship with God is really what drew us near to God and made us have a desire to know Him deeper, because we saw the fruit of those families, just how close and loving and just different they were. They really truly were lights to this world. Like,
Okay, I guess I've never witnessed that. Whatever. Sure. That's what God wanted him to be, but I guess everyone else just walked away from the light of God or something and did what they were gonna do anyways. So oh no, I don't understand what is this? What is this waffly, rambly shit? I'm not talking about me talking, but what is this?
It was an eye opener to us. And so, by creating families, growing up children, we have an opportunity to do that for other people, which is amazing. And
I mean, the arrogance to assume that you know what God wants or needs. I could never be that way. Really. Even when I was like a hardcore Catholic, I would say I really don't know what the fuck God wants. I don't know if God wants people to be in all these happy families that are just like homeschooled and all this shit. I don't know. Because it seems like the opposite seems to have manifested despite God's wishes. You know, an all powerful, omnipotent being, it seems like God is pretty indifferent to what we do. Really. That's my take on it. I don't think he really gives a fuck. If it's even a he, it's an it, more than likely. Why would it have a penis and balls? Again, I don't get it. Like, this isn't going to make sense to anybody whose brain is working at, full tilt or anything. Like, it's for those who really just need something to hold on to anchor their lives around, like Zaffa was talking about. It's for those people. Maybe a good distraction for some of them.
And just think about like the generational impact. If you had 4 kids and then all 4 of those kids had 4 kids and then all 4 of those kids had 4 kids, like your generational impact is huge.
It's actually really minuscule, but that's also a lot of suffering and death generated in the world, too. Let's just not think about that, though. Like, all these people of different faiths have had kids, and yet these faiths are crumbling and dying right in front of our eyes. It's almost as if that these were just bad ideas, and they needed young minds to inculcate them with in order for them to keep flourishing because they wouldn't be able to do it without it. Somebody who had a reasoning ability, they wouldn't take off on their own. If you were an adult, really, if you weren't in a desperate situation, would you truthfully go to church or do any of that sort of shit? Unless you just really absolutely were in dire need of some comfort or something, or hope for meaning in an afterlife somewhere because you realized, I'm not going to be making it out of here alive, now am I? Would you need it? Of course not. This is shit they give to little kids because they're the only ones who aren't smart enough to figure it out yet, and it's through no fault of their own, of course, who aren't smart enough to figure out that this is not a magical playtime that they're in. Um, this is kind of a hell realm, if anything. So I guess you really do need a heaven to sell it.
So your ministry can really just be so strong, even if you do nothing outside of your family. But if your focus is on your family, you're not doing any social media, any of that kind of stuff. You're not like overly involved in the church or anything. Just focusing on your ministry as a family and doing what God.
I can see your kids walking away from the faith. I can just picture it right now.
God has called you to is it has such a big impact in itself.
Not as big of an impact as better ideas. Not even close. You can pass down the most stupid bullshit down the line, but eventually it's going to get called out, be seen for what it is. Stupid bullshit. You might get away with it for maybe a few millennium, maybe not even that long, but at some point, sometime, somewhere, somebody's going to call you out on your stupid bullshit, and it'll stop right then and there. No matter how focused in on your family or whatever the fuck you are, no matter how hard you drill in the love of Jesus and all this sort of shit in your kids, some point, sometime, somewhere, even if everyone did this, somebody's going to be like, hey, this is retarded. This is not what I'm picking up with my senses. This is not what the reality seems to look like here. It seems like we're in the grip of a cold and malicious universe that doesn't give a flying fuck about us, and at the very best is indifferent to our plight because it doesn't care. A lot of the bad things that happen are just due to our sensibility that we don't want these things to happen, and all the good things, enhance our power for survival, and so on and so forth. Kind of like a Spinoza or something like that. He grew up a Jew. I think his family were pretty hardcore Jews, and he ended up getting kicked out for some of the shit he said. And it takes quite a bit, from my understanding, to get kicked out of Judaism. So he was something. But eventually you're going to get called out on your bullshit. And I think antinatalism has been around for millennia too. It's been around before Christ. So, and it's still kicking. We haven't had to have kids to preach the ministry to impact future generations because we realize that's a dumb idea. Stupid. What is the point of bringing more people to have to toil, suffer, and die here on this earth just to tell them not to have fucking kids? Stupid as fuck. It doesn't make any sense. It's antithetical to the message we're trying to preach here. So this is the best way I know how to do it, is through a YouTube video with a black screen. And I've kind of gone on long enough, but this is just so full of stupid shit that I'm so used to hearing. It feels cathartic almost to kind of unleash on this poor girl. I mean, she seems like she means well, but her ideas are dumb. And this is what keeps this fucking game of war going. And I don't like that idea. I want it to stop. I'm getting so sick and tired of waking up on this fucking hell world. I don't know about you, but I am. So I do the best I can with it.
So, growing your family, having kids is something that God calls us to do.
Okay. He didn't do that actually, but we'll pretend.
Even in crazy times, we're not to fear this world. We are supposed to create disciples always.
Not to fear this world, despite the fact that the world God created gives us plenty to fear anyways. And also fears of what happens after death. Yeah, wow. Seems a little weird, doesn't it? It's like given an impossible task. I don't understand it. You give finite sentient creatures who are driven to survive and procreate, and they also have to worry about all sorts of shit that may come at them, because there's a lot of ways you can get killed, but there's not very many ways that can really enhance your power in a sense, because you're a finite creature. You can only enhance your power so much. So you're supposed to somehow go against your hard wiring and not fear the world, but also just try to find a love for God, who is more than willing to throw you into the fiery pits of hell to be raped and tortured for all of eternity because you walked into the wrong building on Sunday. Yeah, okay. I'll bear that in mind, I guess.
And the family ministry is so strong. It really touches people and reveals Christ to them. It did.
It's not doing it for me. It's not, the glow is not coming my direction. I don't sense it.
To Adam and I, it's one of the things that really brought us back to God and relationship with Him, and how desire to grow our relationship with Him and figure out how He wants us to live our lives, which is just so special. And yeah, that's basically it for today's video. I think it was probably a pretty short video, but if you guys want me to go more in depth on any of these points with like verses and all that, let me know. I would be happy to do individual videos on each of these points. But yeah, that's just kind of a quick summary of 4 reasons. I don't know why I'm holding out my hand like there's 5. 4 reasons that as Christians we should continue to grow our families in a world full of chaos. So I hope this inspired you and encouraged you. If you've been fearful, I know that I have been in that place before, and I still have to pray to just trust God and His plan for my family, to pray and just remember how much He loves me, my son, and all that, and pray for Him to give me grace to make it through each day without worrying about tomorrow, and just having strength for the day that I am walking in. And it's definitely hard and easier said than done, like I said at the beginning of this video.
It's almost like it's impossible, but yeah. I'm just going to leave it there, really, I guess. You know what? We're almost done. Let's just see what else she has to say.
It's so much easier to say, don't be afraid, than it is to actually walk that out. But just...
Yeah? You could call someone a pussy for not doing something until you have to do it yourself, duh.
Continuing being in prayer, knowing God's word, and focusing on the eternal truth really does help me.
Again, eternal truth of what? Oh, I guess I must be in another video, but I'll never find it.
So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video.
I didn't really.
And make sure, if you haven't already, to subscribe down below and give this video a thumbs up. Giving a thumbs up helps to get seen by more people, so I really appreciate that. If you thought this was helpful and encouraged you, then give it a thumbs up so maybe it can.
Should I give it a thumbs down because it didn't give me any hope and it discouraged me from having children even more? But she's just going to keep plugging herself, so we'll call it a day. And this is somebody who obviously needs religion, so I can't really just... I was kind of critical of her, but at the end of the day, like, I understand that we're in a bad situation here, and I understand the need for comfort of some sort, and this is how some people get it. She doesn't strike me as someone who's going out there and causing a shitload of problems for other people, despite the fact that she did bring another poor soul to have to toil, suffer, and die on this planet for no reason, really. Just given vague notions of a pleasant afterlife, because here sucks. So, I mean, besides that, she doesn't seem like she's really necessarily harming anyone, so if you need it, if you're a religious person, you desperately need it, my militant atheist days are long gone. It was more of a reaction to when I got out of the Catholic faith and was pissed at how much I was lied to, and I decided to try to take it upon myself to make people like me and stuff, but I don't worry about it so much anymore. The more I understand what a shitty predicament we're in, the more I'm like, I kind of pump the brakes on that. As long as you're not going out there causing serious fucking problems in the name of religion, have at it. Knock yourself out. You want to go to church every Sunday? Do it. I don't care. Just don't expect me to go. But it did remind me of a quote from Schopenhauer, and I figured, why not? I'll read it here and now, because it perfectly fits up this fucking video, or fits to this video perfectly. That's what I meant to say. And I really like it. So here it is. God, who in the beginning was the creator, appears in the end as revenger and rewarder. Deference to such a God admittedly can produce virtuous actions. However, because fear of punishment or hope for reward are their motive, these actions will not be purely moral. On the contrary, the inner essence of such virtue will amount to prudent and carefully calculating egoism. And I couldn't have said it better myself, really. And there's also the other quote I got here. It's like, how shall a man be proud when his conception is a crime, his birth a penalty, his life a labor, and death a necessity? Old Schopenhauer coming in with the save there, but yeah. I think it sums it up. Like, they're just doing this because they think God will show them some sort of special privilege and grant them an eternal afterlife that's pleasant instead of horrible, and will favor them above the rest. They think they're just, doing something great and grand when they're really not. It's kind of life playing a trick on them. Sorry I had to cough, but been having a pretty bad coughing fit recently. I don't know. I really haven't been smoking much, and I think that's part of the problem. So, as weird as that sounds, that's happened to me in the past when I quit smoking, so it's nothing to really worry about there. I don't think so, but whatever. Anywho, I think that's that. But yeah, I will be getting around to Last Call for Heroes at some point. Like I said, it's just Amazon was being an ass, so whatever. I'm halfway through, and yeah. So that was that. The video was called again, Why Christians Should Have Children in a World of Chaos. And it's by a channel called Faith and Home. So go look at that. Obviously don't harass her or nothing, but yeah, you feel free to watch your video in full if you don't want me to comment over it and just make your own, because why not? But still, nothing to learn here, just the same old vague whatever shit that people do. So yeah, thank you for listening and have a good one.